Alright, we're going to do a proof here, and here's what I'm going to start with, and you're going to see how this works. Um, oh, and at the end, I want to prove D, alright? So, I take a look, and I have all these things, and so what I notice here is this. My D is down here at the very, very tail end, so I'm going to just see what I can work with. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say not M or H and C, and this is number one, and it's my premise. And I'm going to try something with this. I did this proof before, but I'm going to try something different because I wasn't using De Morgan's law, and I figured since I just talked about De Morgan's law, I should probably use it. So let's see how it works. So this gives me not M or not H and C, but that's still kind of all in parentheses, and that's De Morgan's. And what I do is I write De Morgan's, and then I put down a little number 2 in parentheses, or not 2. Put down a little number 1 in parentheses because this is off the premise. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, let's see, 3. I say M or H or C implies A. And that was a premise as well. Well, here's the deal. I know that. Because I know that C is true, and I know that not M or not H is true. But actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say not M or not H, and I'm going to say that is the law of conjunction. Conjunction on number 2. And the reason why is because this is true and this is true. So now I'm going to take a look, and I'm going to say, because not M or not H is true, rather, that M or H must be false, which means that C is true, and that is disjunctive inference, and that's going to be off of 3 and 4. And so what I end up with is, because of that, I get C implies A. Sorry, this should have been C implies A. And let's see, I've now used this one. I've used this one. And for my very first premise, 6, I'm going to say C is true. And the reason why is because of law of conjunction, again, on number 1. See? It's an and statement, so that's true. Now, number 7, I'm going to say A implies F, implies F implies D. This is kind of a weird one. I don't know why they have it like that, but if A implies F implies D, then you can, well, that's a premise. I don't know why. It's kind of a weird chain rule. You can just say A implies D, and I'm going to say chain rule on 7, which really doesn't make too much sense. Because, well, it just doesn't. Usually it's in 2 steps. Perhaps I should have written it as 2 steps. Yeah, I'll do that. Because the whole thing makes me a little uneasy. I don't like saying saying that. If I made this 2 steps, that'll make my life easier. A implies F is a premise. Number 8, F implies D is a premise. Number 9 gives me A implies D, and that's the chain rule. On 7 and 8. And now, number 10, I have C implies A, and I have C. Therefore, A, and that is modus ponens on 5 and 6. And now I get D, which is modus ponens on 9 and 10. And that's it. I'm going to do one more. Oh, I'm going to check my time and see how much time I have. Probably have time to do one more. I hope that was useful. No, I don't want to save this one. And let's see. And I have 3 premises with this one. I have A or B, and not C. I have not C implies D and not A. And then I have B implies A or E. And I want to prove A or E. Because I'm going to prove A or E, I'm going to probably use that one last. So I'm not really sure what to do. What I'm going to do is I'll start here. I'm going to just say A or B and not C. And that's a premise. That's one of my givens. Because it's and, I can just drop the A and B. I can just say not C. And like I said, I'm not sure what this is really called, so I just call it the law of conjunction. Number 1. So number 3, I'm going to say not C implies D and not A, and that's a premise. And number 4, because I have not C and I have not C implies, I can just say D and not A, and that's modus ponens on 2 and 3. Number 5, I'm going to say I have D and not A. Well, because I have D and not A, I'm just going to say not A. And the reason why is because of the law of conjunction, which, once again, I cannot state enough. I'm not sure if that's actually what's really called, so look it up in your textbook. Number 6, if I go back to number 1, I use this. Well, I didn't really use that. I used this because I knew that this was an and, right? Which means I still have this kind of floating about in space. So I'm going to now use that. I'm going to say A or B, which was law of conjunction again, on number 1. But take a look what I have now. I have not A and I have A or B. That means not A is true, which means A must be false. But because it's A or B, that means that B must be true, and that's the law of disjunctive inference. And you're going to spell that out yourself on 5 and 6, which gives me B, which gives me, now I can say B implies A or E, and that's a premise, which gives me, here we go, now this is good stuff, look at that. That is modus ponens, A or A, which was what we were trying to prove, and it's modus ponens on numbers 7 and 8. That is it. I hope you enjoyed that. I know I did.